Okay, before we get into this vlog, I know a lot of you guys are going to be mad at me for going. And I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, why the hell was he vlogging at a MAGA rally? But let me tell you some things. When you watch this video, you will be shocked from a lot of things you see there.
All good fun. And listen, I love seeing the American flags waving.
I know. There's something so amazing. And you know, you see it on TV, you see it in pictures, you might see it on social media, but there's something very different about seeing that in person.
Nah, I'm over here checking the live stream, just making sure everything's cool. Yo, this is on Donald Trump's like property. Like, that's crazy.
To me,
so he owns this golf course. First time in history they're saying that it's on, or I don't know how many years in history since it's been on the actual president's property, a rally. Crazy. This shit's super packed too. Alright, let me park. But nah, it look. I just had to watch the live stream. Like, nah, let me make sure it's safe and fuckful. It looked lit though. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, it looked smooth. The way that it's operated and everything was set up, rather say. And they caught me because they said, "When's the next time in history that something like this will happen?"
I know exactly.
And the property's on in a president's golf
and
course. Like, when's the next time in history that would happen?
What are you gonna do to your political?
I was like, "You're right. No, I'm going. I'm sliding. I'm sliding. Y'all know this. I love history and I love events.
That's really his.
So I had to pull up. Yeah, non-biased media. I don't know what other way I could show that.
Like President Trump, they don't think about.
But yeah, let me park because this is super packed, and then we're gonna see what we get into.
Get back on your enemies. He's a visionary. He's thinking in terms of ideas. He's thinking in terms of building up this country from the brink, rebuild.
Nah, the Trump mobile was crazy. We saw the Bodie mobile before. The Trump mobile was wild. Let me just let you know, I know parking's going to be hell to get out of here. It looks insane. Like, this looks crazy. We shall see. I think there's buses that take you there, if I'm assuming. I'm the only one not in red. I feel like I went to a gang meeting and I didn't get the dress code. But we are here as non-biased media. Corvette's fire. Alright, let's get in there before we look too hot. Do the speech tonight at 7 o'clock. It's dope though. It's crazy. We gotta take a bus over there. We gotta go on the property. We was watching the live stream too on the way here, so I kind of saw how it looks in there, but I'm gonna let you guys see for yourself when we get in there. COE. This is COE at its finest. That we got might have broke down. COE, that's all I keep thinking. Like, that's crazy. The bus that we got, all the love. There's no way. Back on road. They got the Trump merch by the thousands. I'm trying to find a good spot to shoot from. But yeah, I don't know how. I don't know how good y'all can see it, but super bright.
Father, we ask that your wisdom, strength, and your courage remain upon the life of Donald J. Trump as his heart continues to be aligned with your divine principles. Uphold him with your righteousness and grant him divine protection, for he is a beacon in the midst of divisiveness and turmoil. Bless this gathering with your peace and with your grace. May it be a time of inspiration for all who are present as well as those who are watching. We entrust our hopes and aspirations for the future of our nation into your loving hands, so that we may return to the
twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting. And the home of the free.
You know, it seems like a long time ago when I was at the Rose Garden when I said a nation had turned its back on God, and God's given us grace for such a time as what's happened over the past 3.5 economy, the worst it's ever been, and these things happening. What they've done is they've drove people to this bucket of common sense, which is our great real president's bucket, okay? And once you're in that bucket, you don't leave. The other thing, the other bucket that's going on is people don't reach out to God. When I say God's given us grace for such a time, it says when things are going good, they don't reach out to God. But when things are going bad, like things are going now, people are coming more and more to the Lord every day. And we're in the greatest revival for Jesus Christ in history. God bless you all.
Así está claro. El presidente Trump nunca ha dejado de luchar por nosotros y nosotros nunca dejaremos de luchar por él. Salgamos a votar, trabajemos juntos y mandemos al presidente Trump de vuelta a la Casa Blanca para restaurar la grandeza de los Estados Unidos aquí y en todo el mundo. In closing, remember that our revenge is success.
Miami, are you ready to make Donald J. Trump the 47th President of the United States? You know, around the country, people are wondering, man, how do you guys get it done in Florida time after time after time? And I gotta tell you, it's been a long road in our state, but we are now the Republican state in the country. We are now the red state in this. They're not like you and I. Like, we have been through the fire with the press. So we know how to deal with a tough press. They don't. And the reason they, 4 months, we are gonna fire Joe Biden, and we are gonna save the United States of America.
Joe does gotta go. When we do that, some crazy things are gonna happen. We're gonna get back to common sense policy in America. We're gonna secure our borders here in America. We're gonna get our government under control, and we're gonna get inflation down here in America. When the 45th president becomes the 47th president of the United States. Miami, I love coming here. God bless you guys, Miami. God bless America.
We love this country, don't we? We're the Venezuelans. We're the Colombians. The Central Americans. Where are the Cubans? This is the best of South Florida, and I understand and I share with you that many of you left behind, not too long ago, your family, your culture, your language, your home, with the dream of finding new opportunity in this beautiful country called the United States of America. You came here, my parents came here with the belief that in America, everything is possible if you work hard and you play by the rules. It doesn't matter where you come from. If you're Venezuelan, if you're Cuban, if you're Colombian, if you're Dominican, if you are Puerto Ricans, I'm sure that all of you are represented in this rally. We the people, every one of us can achieve the American dream. But today, unfortunately, a dark force has infiltrated this very sacred place, the United States. The dark cloud that we all know too well, many of you know too well because you came from those countries. Because we are a community of exiles, starting with my parents who came from Cuba 60 years ago. This dark cloud called socialism. An ideology that unfortunately today has many faces. God has been eliminated from the public life. Many schools don't want you to know what your children are learning. The difference between male and female is blurry and is not clear. And the traditional values that this country was founded on are repudiated by many on the left.
Police! Let's thank our police! And let's thank our firemen and women and our first responders. And while I thank people, you remember that the border was secure. The southern border was secure. And then these folks took control of our country. So you know who we have to thank for securing the border then and who's going to secure it again. Let's thank Donald Trump for securing our border, and he will do it again. Oh yeah. And under Donald Trump, we had reached energy independence. And I thank him, and Donald Trump will do it again. We shall become energy independent again. And our economy was strong under President Trump. There was no such thing as inflation. And guess what? When you do your part, you work hard to elect Donald Trump, he will secure our economy and get rid of Joe Biden's inflation. He will do that. But let's be clear, I also want to thank him for something that I thanked him here 4 years ago. I thanked him for standing up to tyranny, to standing up for against the Castro regime, for standing up against Chavez and Maduro, for standing up against the dictatorship in Managua. And I'm going to thank him one more time, and I'm going to do it here. Those tyrannies, those anti-American dictatorships will not survive another 4 years of Donald Trump. That's why I also want to thank Donald Trump. So friends, are you ready to work to elect Donald Trump as the next president of the United States? Are you ready to not tire until we elect Donald Trump as the next president of the United States? Are you ready to send packing the crypto-communists and the socialists that have taken control of the White House of the United States? So my dear friends, I said it. I wanted to thank people. Oh, wait, something that people don't thank Donald Trump enough. I thank him for endorsing my candidacy, again, for the United States Congress. Thank you, President Donald Trump. And let's be...
Is there anything better than coming to a Trump rally? Maybe October would have been a little bit better, but what a great night. Thank you. The President of the United States has so much authority to change the direction of this country. This election is so important. We have got to do everything in our power to make sure we get all the votes to where Donald Trump has an overwhelming majority on November 5th. And you're going to do it. So now let's think about it. In our lifetime...
One thing I can promise you, we're coming up on the RNC in a couple days. From now until November.
That's the reaction to it. So, but the one thing, I don't know what you thought, but I was watching this, and you know, you're happy, right? Because we are happy that who won the debate? Well, I think everybody, like even Biden said Trump won. But I'm watching this debate, and about halfway through it, I realized, oh my God, that guy's the President of the United States. Who is running our country right now?
Obama!
And then I realized, who?
Obama and Hillary!
I got like 4 different names. All right, but then I started thinking, the other thing that scared me was I started thinking, not only, like they're watching this thing in Beijing, they're watching it in Moscow, they're watching it in Havana, they're watching it in Caracas, they're watching it in Iran, and they're saying, that guy's the president, that guy? We're going to invade tomorrow. That's what I would do, you know, you're thinking, that's the danger that we're in. But here's the second outrageous thing. Everyone's known this. We've been seeing it for 3 years, but it wasn't true. If you had said anything that's been said now about Joe Biden 20 minutes before that debate, they would have said that's a lie, it's a conspiracy. The only conspiracy here are the people in the shadow government that are protecting and hiding from the American people the condition of our current president, and it puts our country in danger.
Hell yeah!
Guys, even they're saying it now. Even MS, what does President Trump call it? MSDNC? Even they're saying it now. I've never seen anything like it. They're in a complete panic. They're in a complete panic about how do we now push this guy out? How do we get rid of him? And as you've seen, I don't know, I still can't tell you today. I guess they have now admitted that from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Biden is awake and running the country. I don't want a president that's open less than our banks are open. And that's what we're facing now. So we know he's not calling the shots. How do they say it in Cuban? Ese señor no sabe dónde está parado. You guys can translate later. So this guy, so he's there, and you're watching this debate, and we're seeing that. But and so yes, look, the guy's a figurehead for a shadow government of leftists that are propping him up. So now they want to push him out. Here's the problem. The relation, I just told him I saved a bunch of money by switching to Geico. I actually didn't switch to Geico. Anyway, here me wrap it up with this. I'm gonna wrap it up with this. This election is fundamental. It's the most important election we've had, and you hear that every 4 years. This one truly is. Because we are truly now, if we cannot afford, can we afford another 4 years like this? What will this country look like? 4 more years of this destruction. We can't afford it. The good news is that while they're trying to figure out who their nominee is and how they can trick Joe Biden into not showing up tomorrow to work so they can replace him, we know who our nominee is. He's going to be the next president of the United States, and his name is... And he's going to do what with America? He's going to make it great. Let's add one more thing. He's not just going to make it great again. Together, we're not just going to make it great again. We elect this man as president. We will make together America greater than it has ever been. Thank you. Que Dios lo bendiga. God bless you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Miami! How's everyone doing today? You having some fun? You ready to take your country back? Are you a little upset that they've been lying to you like they have for the last few years? Hey, so before they get off the stage, I gotta thank my children, especially Chloe, who was basically functioning as my Jill Biden, to make sure that I was capable of walking onto a stage. Now think about this, guys. We're running against a party that wants to take away your AR-15, but they gave a vegetable the nuclear codes. Think about that. Think of how insane that all is. Each and every day, there's a new measure of stupidity, a new level of asinineness, and what's great is, it looks like they're sticking with Joe. After lying to us for 5 years that this guy is competent, that this guy is fit to serve. Raise your hand here. If Joe Biden showed up to pick you up in an Uber, would you get in the car? Would you let a friend get in the car? Would you let your worst enemy get in that car? Maybe. Dumb ways to die, right, folks? But this is what we're dealing with each and every day. Just this week, Joe Biden announced that he's going to veto a required proof of citizenship to vote. I wonder why that would be, folks. Why do you think they would stop that? You're right. We have to stop the steal. We have to beat the margin of fraud. To win by 2, we gotta win by 6. That's the game they've been setting up. There's a reason they've let in 15 million people. Venezuela right now is the safest it's been in decades because all their criminals reside in our neighborhoods. That's what's going on. There's no other explanation for it. They're not even hiding from it at this point. They realize they can't run on the economy. They can't run on inflation. The adults that are back in charge have, let's just say, failed us miserably. And we've seen it each and every day. Remember, the adults are going to be back in charge. They told us this, and let's just say, I don't feel it yet, guys. It's been 3.5 years. You'd think you'd see it by now, right? I am a reasonably spoiled individual, and if I go to the grocery store, if I take my kids to McDonald's and I'm pissed off, no, seriously, what does everyone else feel? If I get it, if I see it, how do the Democrats not see it? How do our representatives in Washington, D.C. not understand it? We went from a time of peace and prosperity, success for everyone in our country, to a time
of disaster. War, death, destruction, poverty, and it's only going to get worse if they keep doing it. Remember, I talk about the Noah Center, right? The adults are going to be back in charge, and we got our Secretary of State on a world stage after the disastrous Afghan withdrawal, saying with a straight face that he was shocked and dismayed that the Taliban, folks, the Taliban did not install, and I quote, a more diverse and inclusive government. I would say end of quote, but then they'd say I'm Joe Biden reading from the teleprompter.
Pause.
No, but think about it. He's like Ron Burgundy. If you put it on the teleprompter, he will read it, folks. He can't make that distinction. But what's scarier, guys, is they allowed this guy to be in charge. They told you with a straight face that this is the guy that was going to bring reason to the world. What we have is great people like you who are willing to stand up, who see through the nonsense, who are willing to push back. Now everyone sees it. That's why they're running their importation operation, right? Because they realize that even reliable Democrat voting blocs aren't voting Democrat anymore. We see that here in the great state of Florida, because people from Cuba and Venezuela who are escaping real persecution, they don't want to bring communism to America. And that's what they're doing. But think of what they did to my father and our businesses and everything, right? 37 felony prosecutions, a $500 million fine. They fined our organization $500 million almost for paying back loans on time with interest. No, but just to be clear, Boeing Airlines, a major company, just got fined $240 million for 2 plane crashes where they admit some sort of fraud and negligence that killed 340 people. Just for perspective, so you understand where we're at. 340 people by a major corporation that's acknowledging their guilt in the matter. 340 people dead. They get fined $243 million. We get fined almost $500 for paying back loans on time. No. That's the perspective. And guess what, guys? If they can do it to Trump, they can do it to you. But more importantly, if they will do it to Trump, they will do it to each and every one of you that stands up for the freedoms, our beliefs, our rights, the things that this country was founded upon. And that's why we have to be here to take it back. It's why we have to say enough is enough. We have to take on that swamp. We have to take on the bureaucracy. And they're going after my father now harder than ever before because they understand now he knows the game. When he came in as an outsider, it's, I get it. We came in as an outsider. It's a little different. It's a little different. You have to learn it. That takes time, right? The Plum Book, the 4,000 jobs assigned by the president. Man, I think he'd been in Washington, D.C. for 2 cumulative days prior to winning the presidency. You don't know who those people are. You don't know who you can trust. A lot of them you can't. Now you know. Okay? So this is what we have to fight back against. The corruption, the lies, the gaslighting, the nonsense, and the noise. And we're not in a fair fight. We don't have $1 trillion institution that is our mainstream media backing us. We don't have that benefit. They'll lie about us all day long, with the exception of 1 or 2 people I see on the dais up there. We don't have $1 trillion institution of big tech. We don't have that. These are the same people that protect Joe Biden, that told you he was rational, he was clear, he was lucid. The fake doctor, think about this. Today, the story broke. Joe Biden's doctor, the one that says he should not take a cognitive test because clearly everything's fine, right? It's so fine. This is Joe Biden on stage.
You gotta go off camera.
It's not that hard to speak. I'm not even using a teleprompter.
Mr. Haney?
So, guys, between now and November 5th, there can be no letting off the gas. You must speak to your friends. I'm not so worried about Florida. Feels pretty good. But we still got to win the congressional seat and all the down ticket races. But each and every one of you, you need to call your friends across the country You need to speak to them. You have to make sure they understand what is happening. You see it around the world. This was an article I read today because it was just so disgusting to me as a father of 5 young children. Here's the article from the Daily Mail. Danish 17-year-old girl who used pepper spray to fight off a near migrant asylum center, sure, had no correlation there at all, was told she will be prosecuted for carrying a weapon. So, a literal victim of to be prosecuted for defending herself. That is the liberal mindset. That is what Democrat policy will ultimately be in that country. You see them refusing to prosecute crimes here. Only Americans, only patriots, only those people get prosecuted. If you're a criminal element, as long as you'll reliably vote Democrat, you have free reign. We have to speak to our friends. We have to get them engaged. We have to get them involved. And we have to take our country back because it's worth it. The American dream is worth it. Our freedoms and our liberties are worth it. And our children are sure as hell worth it. And we have to fight for them across the board. So God bless you all, Miami. Thank you for your support. Thank you for fighting like you do. I love you guys. And I promise you, as long as we're here, we will fight tooth and nail to save everything you all stand for.
Mike Lindell!
God bless Miami.
Yo, man! God bless you, brother!
And honestly, the corruption, I would have never guessed. If you could have zoomed back 8 years, I would have never believed that this was the United States legal system. I never would have thought that they could have fined somebody $500 million for doing absolutely nothing wrong, right? When they're letting out hardened criminals in New York, as they run around McDonald's in Times Square and slash the hell out of people, you know, the entire DA is sitting there in the front row giggling and chuckling with the judge that's totally in their pocket. I would have never guessed this could have been the United States of America. And, you know, we've seen these in so many countries. I mean, how many Cubans do we have in the audience tonight? You've seen this movie before. How many Venezuelans do we have here? Guys, you've seen this before. And I'm sitting there as a son. And you know what's remarkable? I've never seen a guy with more determination and perseverance. I'll never forget, they read out 34 bogus guilty felonies. Guilty, 34 times. He stands up with the exact same demeanor that I see him with at 5 o'clock in the morning and 11 o'clock at night. He turns around, he shakes my hand, we walk out, we go to a fundraiser where he starts fighting for the United States of America again. I'm so freaking proud of him. And believe me, guys, if I didn't stand on the stage, if I wasn't here right now, they wouldn't be hitting me. I'm probably the most subpoenaed person in the history of this country. 110 subpoenas, and I've never gotten so much as a traffic ticket. And the second he went down that aisle, subpoena after subpoena, because they just wanted to get to Donald Trump. And they wanted to get to him because we have a president right now who's freaking incompetent. Absolutely incompetent. This isn't the best of America. In fact, he's the worst of America. Look what's happening to our economy. Look what's happening to everything. But beyond that, look what's happening to our values in this country. Look what's happening to religion. Look what's happening to our Constitution. Free speech. The Ayatollah was on Twitter. Yet they threw Donald Trump off like a dog. He had to open up Truth Social, which, by the way, is doing awesome. I mean, can you imagine that? They threw the 45th president of the United States off because, you know, that's how weaponized the system is. And guys, they've weaponized every system. They weaponized the FBI. They weaponized the DOJ. They weaponized the media. They've weaponized education. Thank God for Loudoun County moms who came out and fought like hell. By the way, thank God for the moms in this country, because honestly, the job that they did there, no one tougher than the moms in this country. But they did this, and despite what they tried to do, they tried to ruin his image, they tried to ruin his marriage, they tried to ruin his family, they tried to divide all of us. You know what they can't stand? All these people back here, you know what they can't stand? That we sit there as a united front, and we never stop punching back.
There is nowhere else I'd rather be on this beautiful, cold, very cold summer evening than right here in the middle of the 10th hole. Beautiful hole, isn't it? Look at that lake, isn't it beautiful? On one of the greatest golf courses on earth, and we really want to thank all of the tens of thousands of people that showed up. This is a lot of people. This is a lot of people. As the world can see, we are under the leadership. The Republican Party is bigger, stronger, more vibrant, and more united than ever, ever, ever before. Every day we are welcoming more Americans to our ranks, African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, young people, old people, union members, non-union members. Basically, everyone is joining our movement because it's a movement of common sense. It's common sense. Whatever happened to common sense in government? We've got it. We've got more than anybody's ever had. Meanwhile, the radical left Democrat Party is divided in chaos and having a full-scale breakdown, all because they can't decide which redeem himself in front of the entire world. You guys can be referees if you like. Let's do another debate this week so that Sleepy Joe Biden can prove to everyone all over the world that he has what it takes to be president. But this time it will be man-to-man, no moderators, no holes barred. Just name the place, anytime, anywhere. And in the debate, Sleepy Joe also declared that he wanted to test his skills and stamina against mine on the golf course. Can you believe this? Did you ever see him swing? He's like this. That's why this evening I am also, and this is in honor of you and everybody here, it is 45,000 people. That's a lot of people.
Stop the cap.
I'm also officially challenging Crooked Joe to an 18-hole golf match right here. Considered one of the greatest tournament golf courses anywhere in the world, one of the great courses of the world. It will be among the most watched sporting events in history, maybe bigger than the Ryder Cup or even the Masters. And I will even give Joe Biden 10 strokes aside. 10 strokes, that's a lot. That means 20 strokes in case you don't play golf. I will give him 10 strokes aside, and if he wins, I will give the charity of his choice, any charity that he wants, $1 million.
I make trillions when we could make billions.
And I'll bet you he doesn't take the offer. I would bet he, because he's all talk. But what that match will do is prove that Joe is in fact all talk and no action. But on many things, not just golf. When pilots walk into the White House, he says he used to fly planes. He didn't. When truckers come in, he says he used to drive a truck. He didn't. When Jewish people are here, he always attended synagogues, he said. The Jewish people. He didn't attend a synagogue. Did he ever see a synagogue? He doesn't know what a synagogue is. When black people come, he spent his Sundays in black churches. All of it's false, all of it's fake. He's a fake. Unfortunately, he was like that in Afghanistan. He was like that with Russia, Ukraine, and he was like that on October 7th and the attack in Israel. He didn't know what he was doing. But whatever else can be said about crooked Joe Biden, you have to give him credit for one brilliant decision, probably the smartest decision he's ever made. He picked Kamala Harris as his vice president. Brilliant, because it was an insurance policy, maybe the best insurance policy I've ever seen, Marco. If Joe had picked someone even halfway competent, they would have bounced him from office years ago, but they can't because she's got to be their second choice. He has no choice and no chance. As vice president, Kamala Harris was given two jobs, two very important jobs, actually. First, she was put in charge of the U.S. border security and the border. And she never showed up. She's never gone. She never went there once. And the border's the worst border in the history of the world, not just in the number of years, the worst. We had the best border in history. She has the worst border in the history of the world. And then she was sent to Europe to deter Russia from attacking Ukraine. How did that work out? Not too good. 150,000 children are missing. They're gone. Nobody knows where they are. Many are not with us any longer. She's 100% for the Green New Scam, supports banning the sale of gas-powered cars. Who wants to drive an electric car for the rest of your life? You don't want to drive for 45 minutes and then stop for 3 hours. Is that what you say? And once the American energy industry totally shut down, starting with Pennsylvania fracking and Texas drilling. No drilling in Texas, no fracking in Pennsylvania. We just got a poll from Pennsylvania with 12 points up. That's a lot. Got a poll from Texas with 16 points up. And we have some great people from Texas here tonight. And as a senator, Kamala sided with socialist Bernie Sanders. He's a real socialist. He's serious. But not as bad as Biden turned out to be. Bernie's embarrassed by some of the things that Biden did because they push him around. It's the ultra-far left government takeover of the entire healthcare system. And I don't think Kamala Harris's California socialism is going to go down well with the people of Doral, the people of Miami, or the people of Florida. Because in Florida, we don't like socialism. We want our freedom, right? We want our freedom. And we have a lot of people, Marco, from Cuba, from Venezuela, from all over. And they don't want to hear about socialism or communism.
USA! 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 USA!
Despite all the Democrat panic this week, the truth is it doesn't matter who they nominate because we are going to beat any one of them in thundering landslides. And this November is going to be amazing. Going to be the most important election in the history of our country because our country's going down the tubes. That's a nice way of saying our country's not doing too well. We've never had anything like it. Our borders, our economy, the worst inflation ever. We have the politics on our side. We have the policies on our side that will make America great again, and they don't. They will only continue to destroy our nation. Our nation is being destroyed. Joe, Kamala, and the entire Democrat establishment have been caught red-handed in the thick of the biggest scandal and the biggest cover-up. It's a cover-up, that's what it is. And I said it when they hit this guy in the basement and then they cheated on the election. It's a cover-up. It's the biggest cover-up in political history. As you know, they are all co-conspirators in the sinister plot to defraud the American public about the cognitive abilities of the man in the Oval Office. Sometimes he's there, not there often. Laughin' Kamala, L-A-F-F-I-N apostrophe. Laughin' Kamala was in on it. Crazy Nancy Pelosi, who, by the way, is also very cognitively impaired. Have you watched her lately? She's not doing too well. She's not doing too well. I think she's worse than Joe. You want to know that? She was in on it. Crying Chuck Schumer. You ever see him cry? He cries when the phoniest crying I've ever seen. Crying Chuck Schumer was in on it. Every Democrat cabinet member was in on it. They all knew this guy was grossly incompetent, and every Democrat in the House and the Senate was in on it. It was a scam. The American people can never trust this group of liars ever again. They've put our country at great risk and danger. That's why we are going to sweep them all out of office this November. I believe it'll be an election like no other. But the biggest problem for the radical left Democrats is that their candidates are very much, if you take a look, mentally deficient. Is that a nice statement? They are mentally deficient. I'm saying that because the other term is too tough. The biggest problem is that their policies are no good. Their policies are horrible. Americans want strong borders, not open borders. We want low taxes, not high taxes. You know, they want to increase your taxes 4 times by 4 times. We want a strong military, not a woke military. And we don't have a woke. We have some woke generals at top, but they'll be gone so fast your head will spin. But we have a great military. We have a military that defeated ISIS in 4 weeks once I got in. We want no inflation, not 30 or 50% inflation, which is what you had. Think of it. You were destroyed. People were destroyed with the inflation. I don't even order bacon anymore. You know, bacon's gone up like 5. I said, it's too expensive, I don't want it. No, it's gone up many times, right? Byron likes bacon. Bacon, I think maybe, how many stand up, Byron? Byron, how good is Byron? They say it's gone up 4 times since 4 times. So we don't eat bacon anymore, right? No more. We want American energy independence, not all electric cars and the Green New Scam. It's the greatest scam. Above all, we want America first, not America last. They want America last. What they're doing to our country is not even believable. That's why Florida is going to defeat the radical left Democrat hoaxers and liars, and the election day, we are going to tell crooked Joe Biden, Joe, you've done a horrible job. You're fired. Get out, Joe. You're fired. days out here. So, you know, they built all these, they call them, sir, we have many water spots. I said, what about one for me? Do I have one? I don't have one, Marco. They gave water spots. Everybody has, they call it a water spot. Well, water comes out, you get, they don't have anything for me. I'm being drenched up here. With your vote, I will begin saving our country from every Biden disaster, starting the moment I lift my hand from the Bible after taking the oath of office. We're going to do it on day one. On day one, we're going to do it. I will seal the border, stop the invasion. We have an invasion coming through our southern border. And by the way, you know who wants that? You know who wants that invasion stopped the most? Hispanic people, because they don't want their jobs taken. They don't want their homes taken. And you know who it affects the most is black people, because these people are coming in and taking jobs at a level that nobody's ever seen before. What they've done to our country is unbelievable. But we want to send Joe Biden's illegal aliens back home where they belong. Remember, as I said, they come from prisons, they come from jails. All these countries are at record low numbers of crime. They're sending us their criminals from Caracas and Venezuela. Caracas, Venezuela. Next year we'll meet in Venezuela because it will be safe. Their crime has gone down 72% because they've sent all of their drug dealers, their criminals, and most of their prisoners into our country. But that's true with most countries. And if I were running one of the countries throughout the world, not just in South America, I would be doing exactly the same thing. I would have done it faster than they've done it. But our country is being destroyed. 2 weeks ago, it was revealed that Biden and Harris have allowed more than 50 radical Islamic terrorists, some of the worst in the world, by the way, to cross our border and remain at large in our country. And we have no idea where they are. They have no idea also where these terrorists are, but Joe and Kamala are simply carrying on with business as usual, holding fundraisers, taking afternoon naps. And as Joe says, I want to go to the beach today. The guy thinks he looks good in a bathing suit. Did you ever see? Well, somebody in his staff told him, you look great in a bathing suit. He can't lift a chair. You know, those chairs are meant for children and old people to lift. Old people and children. And he can't lift them. They weigh about 4 ounces. When I'm president, I promise you this, I will not rest until we have found these radical Islamic terrorists and throw them the hell out of our country. We're going to get them out of here. And we will not let them back in. So many people, very few were thrown out, but the ones that came back in during this Biden administration of open borders, who the hell wants open borders? How crazy is it? Under the Biden border disaster, other countries are emptying out their prisons and their jails. They're emptying out their mental people for dinner. Well, we have a lot of people coming in. They always say, oh, that's terrible, that Trump would say. He is rambling about Hannibal Lecter. No, I'm not rambling. We are allowing people from insane asylums and mental institutions into our country by the tens of thousands. And they're closing them down in other countries. You know the cost savings and all of the savings? And sending bloodthirsty terrorists, savage gang members, and child predators into the United States to prey on our people, to prey on you, to prey on everybody. They're coming not only from South America, but from all over the world, from Asia, Africa, and every other place. They're coming from all over the world. 2 weeks ago, I spoke to the grieving mother, Jocelyn Nungari, a precious 12-year-old girl from Houston who is tied up, stripped, assaulted, raped, strangled to death after walking the block to a 7-Eleven store on the corner. Her body was dumped near the side of the road in a shallow creek, charged with Jocelyn's heinous murder. Beautiful, beautiful girl. The mother is devastated, like migrants, in fact, more than every job. It's crushing wages for American workers, draining resources for American citizens, and stealing American jobs. And they are stealing them at levels that nobody's ever seen before. Joe Biden wants to be the president for illegal aliens, but I will be the president for law-abiding Americans of every background, every walk of life, and every race, religion, color, and creed. Joe Biden's job numbers are fake. They're fake numbers, and the fake media knows it, but they don't look at all of them back there. Oh, that's a lot, Marco. That's a lot, Marco. I think they probably think I'm going to be announcing that Marco's going to be vice president. Because that's a lot of press. That's a lot of press. They're also overwhelmingly part-time jobs, which really means that they're second jobs of people who are struggling to get by. They're being taken by the illegal migrants that are coming into our country in these record numbers. We've never seen anything. It is indeed an invasion. When I return to the White House, I will once again be the greatest jobs president that God has ever created. And like we had 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, we will have full-time jobs at a level that nobody's ever seen before. We had the greatest economy in the history of the planet. Well-paying jobs and jobs that can support a home and a family very, very easily. We had it all. As everyone knows, the Biden economy is a nightmare for working families under Crooked Joe. Inflation, price hikes, and they've cost, listen to this, $28,000. $28,000. And you know, under Trump, you made $14,000. That's a big swing. Under Biden and Harris, half of Americans are not taking a vacation at all this summer because they can't afford to do it. Most say it's because the cost of daily life is so high, no matter what they make, they can't. Because, you know, they like to say 20%, 29%, 26%, 31%. I think your inflation, your real inflation, is way over 50%, and I believe that. Meanwhile, Crooked Joe has spent almost 50% of his presidency on vacation. Almost all of it, including many, many weeks on the beach. And mansions are in, think of this, here's a guy that's been a politician all his life. He's got homes in the Virgin Islands, Nantucket, Lake Tahoe, Kiowa Island. I mean, where the hell did they get all this money, Byron? He's got more homes than I do. What the hell is going on with him? And that home he's got in Delaware is pretty nice, right? But remember, they said it was his son's home. You know, his son is running it, right? You know that, right? You know that. He's running our government. And Jill is helping. Jill is. Where's Hunter? Remember the son? Where's Hunter? Where's Hunter? He's in the White House. Hunter is in the White House running government right now, they say.
Cocaine den.
That's interesting. No wonder Joe doesn't want to get our 10 a.m. to 4. Does anybody here have a job like that? Raise your hand. And I doubt he even spends that. And today he's with the people from NATO. And these people are sharp. I know them very well, every one of them. They're very smart. They're at the top of their game, and they're saying, what the hell is with this guy? We can't figure it out. You know, I saved NATO because when I went down, hey, Barack Hussein Obama, has anyone ever heard of him? He would go and, you know, go to wherever they're holding the NATO meeting, and he'd make a nice speech, and he'd leave. And Bush would go and make a nice speech, and he would leave. In all fairness, Bush, oh yeah. But he'd make a nice speech, and he'd leave. They'd all go make speeches, and they'd leave. They wouldn't even stay there a day. I went and didn't make a nice speech. I said, what the hell are you doing? Nobody's paying. Nobody was paying. But I didn't want to be obnoxious because I felt, you know, it's the first time I'd ever done this. I went. I didn't even know what the hell NATO was too much before, but it didn't take me long to figure it out, like about 2 minutes. And the first thing I figured out was they weren't paying. We were paying. We were paying almost fully for NATO. And I said, that's unfair, but I didn't want to make a big mess. You know, I was president for about 15 minutes. And I didn't want to, you know, go after NATO as my first thing. But 6 months later, I went back to the second meeting, and I said, you know what? You're not paying your bills. You got to pay your bills. Somebody stood up from one of the countries, 28 countries, and only 7 were paying what they should be paying. 28 countries, think of that. And these countries, now we added a couple, but 28 countries. And they said, sir, could I ask you, I said, you have to pay your bills. They said, sir, may I ask you a question? If we don't pay our bills, will you protect us from Russia? I said, you mean you're delinquent? They said, yes, we're delinquent. Let's say we're delinquent. Would you protect us? I said, no, I will not protect you from Russia. The money came in by the billions. It came in. There's never been, right? There's never been. Where's Waltz? Where's Congressman Waltz? Am I correct, Mr. Guy? This guy loves the military. He gets sick when he looks at what we're doing, but he loves it. Is that right? I got billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars came pouring in because he said, oh, this guy's a little different than the other guys. But a smart person. In fact, Ted Kennedy was actually a friend of mine, can you believe it? Because of Palm Beach. He lived in Palm Beach. The Kennedy compound, for those that think the Kennedys are struggling, they had the Kennedy compound, but I did him a favor and he liked me and I was very good to him, actually. And I said to him, Ted, let me ask you a question. Who's the smartest senator? Tell me. And he gave me a name, but I won't say it because I can't stand the guy, okay? I'll tell you later, Marco, who he said. It wasn't you because you weren't there yet, so okay. But I said, who's the smartest? He gave me a name. I said, so who's the dumbest? He goes, probably Joe. This is like 20 years ago, 20-something years ago. Probably Joe. I said, who's Joe? He said, Joe Biden. I said, really? He's a dumb guy? Yeah, he didn't understand policy. He didn't understand tax. He didn't understand anything. He's hale and hearty and well-met. And outside of his really bad hair, he's, you know, sort of a good-looking guy at the time, right? I think the facelift did not help him. No, he said, I'm going to get myself a facelift. I'm going to give it one more try. You know, he tried it 3 or 4 times. Didn't work. Didn't work. He tried it 3 or 4 times, and he said, I'm going to look great. I'm going to get a facelift. You know what took him so long to get into the race? The facelift didn't work. Under my leadership, we will make America affordable again so that every American family can afford to take a thing called a vacation. Is that nice? Yeah. And on day 1, we will throw out Bidenomics and replace it with a thing called MAGA-nomics. We will quickly build the greatest economy in the history of the world. I will repeal every disastrous Biden regulation, of which there are many. Cancel Crooked Joe's insane electric vehicle mandate. Yeah. How stupid. And we will drill, baby, drill. We're going to drill like we never did. We were energy independent 4 years ago. Think of it. We're going to be energy dominant within months. 4 years ago, energy independent. I will deliver large tax cuts, larger than you even have now. You know, I tell the story to people. It's hard to believe. I reduced taxes, the largest tax cuts in the history of our country. I reduced them bigger than the Reagan tax cuts many years ago. And with a lower rate, the following year, we took in much more tax money. Think of it. So we're getting much less. That meant for small businesses, large businesses, because that's what the job creators are. For middle-income people, low-income people, everybody. And he wants to let that expire. And if you do, your taxes are going to go up about 5 times, 4 times to 5 times more. How would you feel if they raise your taxes by 4 or 5 times? And remember that when you're going into the voting booth. Do I want to have a terrible president who has no idea where the hell he is? And less importantly, do I want to pay 4 times more tax? And remember what I'm going to do for all of you waitresses, for all of you caddies at Doral. You know, I came to Doral and there were some caddies at the shack. We call it Caddy Shack. It's the most beautiful caddy shack I've ever seen. We have the world's most beautiful. They sit down and watch television. Bags all over the place, not easy. It's 100 degrees out today, 103, 104. And they saw me and they gave me the biggest hug. I said, get the hell out of here, you're soaking wet. I said, why do you like me so much today, but in the past you never touched me and kissed me and hugged me? It's very simple, sir. No tax on tips. Thank you very much. So for caddies, for waiters, you do rules and regulations that make it very bad for people. The reason I thought of this, I was in Nevada, where we're leading, by the way, a lot. We're up by like 14 points in Nevada. That's supposed to be a little bit Democrat territory, but we're leading in Nevada, and a waitress came over, beautiful waitress, fat. And I said, sir, and then he said he was a pig. I said, sir, Chris Christie is not a fat pig. Please remember that. He is not a fat pig. Please take it back. And the guy's looking at me like, really? No, we have to defend people. You can't call people fat. So I said about 9 times, he is not a fat pig. So every time you leave a tip for the next 4 months, because it's going to go into effect very quickly, make sure that you write on the receipt, vote Trump for no tax on trips. No tax on tips. That's a good one. No, but the waitress said, I said, how are you doing? She said, she's worked there a long time, great person, beautiful person. And she said, oh, it's brutal with the government, what they do to us, it's crazy. They come, you know, they put on 88,000 people to go and take advantage of people like that. And she said, it's brutal. I said, you know, I have a great idea. How about no tax on tips? That was the extent of my study. One waitress. But it's true. It makes so much. Isn't it funny that nobody ever thought of that but me? Isn't that weird? But it's a great thing, and they deserve their money. They work hard for it. They deserve it. They deserve it. Marco, you're going to vote for it, I hope. Well, they are weaponizing law enforcement against their opponents. They are turning America into communist Cuba or socialist Venezuela. By the way, Venezuela is much more than socialist by now. You know that, right? We got. Who's here from Venezuela? Who's here from Cuba? You know, I had it all done with Cuba. They didn't rig the election. Within 6 months, we were gonna have that all worked out. They were ready. Then Biden came in, right? Then Biden came in, he opened it up. It's a disgrace. Trying to silence dissent and put their political adversaries behind bars. He wants to put me behind bars. My parents are looking down saying this was not planned when he went to the Wharton School of Finance. The great Alphonse Capone, you know Alphonse, a very nice gentleman, very fine man. Scarface, they call him in some territory. He has a scar from here to here. He didn't get it by playing tiddlywinks either. No, he was a guy that, see this man right up here is a very tough guy. I know him, tough as hell. If he ever had dinner with Al Capone and Al Capone didn't like him, he'd look at him and say, are you mocking me? And this guy would go, no, I promise I'm not. But if Alphonse didn't like you, you'd never see him again, darling. Your husband would never be home again. He'd right now be a part of a foundation of a very tall building. But Al Capone got indicted less than I did. Think of it, Alphonse Capone. My parents would look down, they were so great, they're saying, how did this ever happen to my son? But you know what? We're finding out, and everybody knew, and I've been saying it's a total fraud. It was election interference. Byron, he has unleashed a horrible thing because, you know, that can happen the other way around too. But the Supreme Court came out with an incredible decision this week, and I have great respect for the courage that they've shown. Great respect for the courage that they've shown. They have great intellect and great insight, incredible insight. They got it. They saw what was happening, not only with me, but with other people. Because I'm being indicted for you. Never forget, our enemies want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. It's as simple as that. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun being indicted. Thank you. I didn't know. What does it mean to be indicted? Thank you.
We love you. We love you. We love you. We love you. We love you. We love you. We love you.
They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me. They're after you. I just happen to be standing in their way, and I always will be standing in their way. We're not going to let happen to our country what's happened to so many countries that many of you people were very much involved in through your parents and grandparents. You know what happened to so many of those countries. We're thrilled to be joined tonight by many fantastic Florida patriots, including a man who's become really a friend of mine. We had a vicious campaign for a while, and he was tough and he was smart. And I got to really know him well over the years, and he's a fantastic guy, Senator Marco Rubio. Thank you, Marco. What do we have to do, right? Should we introduce? And by the way, at the end, do you want the music or do you want no music? Music, ready? Music? Or no music? Ready? Who wants some music? Who wants a little bit quicker, no music? I think we have music tonight. Get the music ready. Get the music ready. We have some incredible, talented warriors, representatives. Corey Mills. Corey, thank you. Thank you, Corey. Great guy. Thank you, Brian. Mike Waltz. Thank you, Mike. Doing great. A man I'm not going to get into a fight with him anytime soon. Byron Donald, who's fantastic. His wife, by the way, is a true expert on education. I say, stay ready. Thank you, Donna. Thank you. Thank you, Donna, for being here. Appreciate it. Great, great person. Maria Salazar. Thank you, Maria. Right. Thank you very much. Carlos Jimenez. Carlos. Good man. Mario Diaz. Man, he just turned 18. Oh, look at this. A very young man who's now going to college, got into every college he wanted to, and he made his choice. And he's a very good guy, I'll tell you. You know, I'm not allowed to call them boy, but he is my boy. He's my boy. They're all my boys, right? When you have sons, they can be any age. They're your boy. They're always going to be. And he's a very special guy. Byron Trump. This is the first time he's ever done it. Byron. Where is Byron? Stand up. Look at him. Show, very successful. She was the star of that show, actually. And she was always good to me a long time, long before I knew her in this capacity. And she was really a big star on television, very, very big. The Five, when it was, I know I didn't introduce many congressmen and lots of others, but I think we have to get back to the business at hand. Is it too hot for anybody? No. Once you goes together, win the vote. I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled, and I will prevent our nation.
Thank you. Now it's going to be how to try to get off the block.
Do more detail if you ever need a car wash?
Thank you. This water feels crazy.
I know they was trying to give me one for a car wash, bro. Hey, it's America, bro. Make America great.
Yeah, you're trying to get something to eat before. The line to get on the shuttle is insane. Insane. And then the car is like parked insane too, so I don't even know how we're gonna get out of that. Thank God I brought some Jungle Boys. Because this looks like it's gonna be a mission. Let me show you. This looks crazy.
I just want to know what it's hard.
There's the line to get in there on the shuttle.
It's the same mentality. Maybe it wasn't in the front. It takes 3 people on the last one. Intimidated the people who